Ciao, guys. Welcome back to the Artful Podcast. It's Matteo, your host. And before we go on with the new episode, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, support the channel like that. It's really important. And no further ado, let's go on with the show.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
It's been a while. Yeah, I'm
I
good. I'm good.
know. I saw Aminye like when we went for Mount Tyler and her sister was there, but I haven't seen you.
Mm, yeah, I probably was working. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been a while, especially you in Canada. I haven't seen you in a while. Um,
Yeah.
how have you been? How is things? Work and life?
Good. I mean, yeah, we like at the beginning of the year we were not together for a while because he went skiing for 2 weeks and I
Hmm.
stayed here and then I left for 2 weeks. So basically for a whole month we were kind of separated, but
Okay.
other than that, like everything's good. Yeah, we're just working and just life really,
Just going through, just
just
going through
going
lives.
through. um but yeah, how have you been doing?
I've been good. I've been good. Been a bit busy actually. The gallery where I work, it's been really active, and the new year they're trying to push a lot more events and the program and stuff like that. So it's been really good. Yeah, for me, and working and being busy, and even like my personal like projects. Um,
Yeah.
which the immigrants one as well has been particularly like challenging in a way, because I decide to kind of like change completely like how I'm gonna present those
Okay.
portraits. So I've been redoing a lot of like uh paintings and drawings. So it's been busy, but good. A good busy, it's when you're excited, when you're doing like things
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
love.
yeah.
It's nice. It's nice.
And it's crazy that you find time to do this, like outside of your normal job. I don't know, it's
I
a lot
know.
of
It's
yeah,
I
it's
know.
good.
That's why I don't have a social life. Like that's why I don't have no friends. Listen,
I'm
it's
sure you do. I'm sure you do.
it's it is takes a lot of time, a lot of time. But even when I was when we moved here, when I was doing basically like two jobs at the same time, and I was always trying to find time for painting. It's my therapy. It's
Yeah, it's good.
what makes me a normal person.
Yeah,
Without
yeah, no,
that,
it's
yeah,
good.
without that, I would go crazy. So I always try to
Yeah.
find time.
No,
But
that's
anyway,
good. I did sorry, I was just gonna say I did a
yeah,
pottery class at the beginning of the year and it was so nice. Like for a whole week I was just feeling relaxed. I get it. I understand
yeah.
how art can become like a way to
No, yeah, the
therapy.
creativity process, it's something that I wouldn't say is missing in a lot of people, but they don't give them much of like importance to what,
Yeah.
because we are that kind of a creature. Like we need to express, and
Hmm.
internally and externally, like what we're feeling, and
Hmm.
art is such a great way to do so, and even just
Yeah.
to just get messy, because that's what we used to be like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in a while,
Yeah.
like being messy, like
Yeah,
the
I know.
messiness. It's something that's so relaxing, so cool. And lately I'm actually coming back to painting, which is I've been drawing for like, I did some paintings, but it was more like just for fun. um for my practice I was doing a lot of drawings, which is like a dry media, and which
Hmm.
is doesn't make you really, unless you use charcoal, which is messy, but it doesn't really make you, it's not that messy, there is no messiness
Yeah,
in
yeah.
drawings.
Yeah. There's
It's
no
really
testing.
precise.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
um Painting, I've been doing paintings again now, and it's the smells, it's so good. I love it.
Great.
The oil,
That's
the
good.
the the whole, the
Yeah.
painting, the messiness, so fun. So basically, like real quick, I'm doing this project about immigrations, and then I decided to interview immigrants, and then from the interview, kind of create that connection for me to go into drawings or paintings, which I'm doing now, and then create an artwork. But something that's really important for me in this project, it's to know the person and to know their journey, and for me to connect on another level to create these artworks. And I'm not searching for any sort of story. I think immigration is kind of um, misleaded as a word, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's kind of destigmatize the word itself, because when we think about immigration, it's always these tragic stories, these refugees, which unfortunately are there, those stories, and they need to be told. But at the same time, I want to create a positive sense on the word immigration, and it's people that are everywhere, and they are creating something with their life, and they're most of them are like happy to do so. So it's a choice. It comes from a really good place. So that's what I'm trying to do with this project. And you, Lucy, and Khan, when I met you, you seemed like really interesting people. So I was like, really interesting to talk to you. And then yeah, that we are.
Yeah, I'm happy we finally managed to find some time to do it.
But is it so? Should we sit together, or do you want us separately?
To be honest, I wouldn't mind doing separately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because, yeah, I think maybe it's it's better to have like this yeah, you know, to interview
Two different stories.
yeah.
Oh,
It's very interesting the couple dynamic, that because until it's just funny, until now I've been with Armenia for a long time, but we were always in England. So she was in her second country, because yeah, she's from Zambia, but she grew up, she spent so much time in England that she considers herself English as well, which makes sense. But now we are both in Berlin, and for me it's normal being the outsider, and now she's experiencing all these new things, and she's telling me about these things, and I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. You're welcome to the family.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's funny to talk about these things with her as well. But anyway, let's go through your journey as an immigrant, and from the beginning. Where did you grow up? How old are you, if you don't mind telling? And yeah, let's start from there. What's your background?
Yeah, so I'm 27 years old, and I grew up in France. But I'm an interesting case because my mom is Scottish and my dad's French, and I really consider myself both, although I grew up most of my life in France. And my mom was kind of the outsider because she came from Scotland, and my dad was French, so he was in his country. So I kind of saw through my mom what it was like to move to another country, not speak the language and all of that. But yeah, even though I consider myself French, I still say that I'm from both countries. And so I grew up in France in a French school, and then I was put into a bilingual school. So there were other kids who were like me, who had parents from both sides. And so we kind of shared that experience of not fully being from the country you grew up in. And then after school, I went to study in Scotland. So I went to my other side to experience what it was like to be the Scottish in me. But the experience was very different because where I grew up really shaped who I was. So when I moved to Scotland, a lot of people around me would see me as the French girl, and really talked about me as the French girl who's moved to Scotland. So I still felt like an outsider in a way because I was seen as different. And then after studying there for 4 years, I did a year abroad in Australia for a year, and that was another total experience because that was like the international student group.
At what age?
I was 19 when I went to Australia. Yeah.
You spent the whole year there?
Yeah, I spent the whole year there. So I spent Christmas there as well, away from my family. So that was another interesting in summertime. And away from my family for Christmas, which was in summertime, which was another experience. It didn't feel like much like Christmas at all, to be honest. And then I finished my undergraduate in Scotland, and then I moved to London for my master's for 5 years because I started work there as well. And then from London, I moved to Berlin in August. So,
So you're still relatively fresh in Berlin. Yeah, because when we met, I think you just moved or something.
Moved.
Yeah, something
I
like
think
that.
we were still looking for a flat to live in when we first.
So you've been introduced to this like experience of the immigrants, the outsiders, relatively like really young, because you said you never really felt well, it's not you didn't felt, it's more like people were already portraying you as the non Scottish or the non-French because you have this background, which is even more interesting because having the parents that are going through that, and then you can see and then you can reflect on their life choice. It's always because most of the people they don't have that, and they don't get introduced to that kind of life from really young. For example, like my parents are from their hometown, and they never moved. They always been there, so that's usually what families have. So you've been introduced to this experience like from really young. Do you now thinking back, it was difficult for you to be that kind of person, or it didn't really felt at the time any difficulties or anything like that?
To be not seen as fully French or fully Scottish, you mean?
Yeah.
I think as a younger child, you definitely want to be like everyone around you, and you want to kind of fit in. So I remember not liking the fact that I had to explain, I'm half French and half Scottish, and then it would really annoy me when people would say, oh, you've got an accent, when I speak French, oh, I can hear a little bit of an English accent, and when I speak English, oh, I can definitely hear your French. Like that used to really annoy me because people could tell that I was different. But now I'm quite proud of it. Actually, it's the opposite, because I think it's interesting, it's different, it starts a conversation, people want to know more about you. And I actually embrace it now, and I'm like quite proud of it. But as a child, I would say like it did. I remember just not fully fitting in and being seen as a bit different by everyone else.
It's funny that you embrace. I still feel, because when I speak English and I spend a lot of time in England, I'm kind of like proudish of where my English is, because I have my girlfriend's English. Like that's my language. I speak every day. Sometimes I really don't remember how to the words in Italian, because I don't speak Italian that much anymore. And people still it still annoys me that people like can pick up certain accents and they're like, oh, you're like they know I'm Italian because from the way I speak, which I don't really I really think my accent is not that strong, and I'm kind of proud of that. And then they're like, people, oh yeah, you're Italian, like they know already. I'm like, it's funny that you it's good that you embrace it, that you don't. I
think it also comes with like my accent's hard to place, so a lot of the time people can't tell where I'm from. I think in your case, if I was in your case, it would annoy me that people assume things about me, whereas because they don't know and they can't tell, they can't assume,
It's
so
more a
they go
curiosity.
with assumptions. Yeah, and then it becomes like a question and a conversation, like it's a little bit different. So but I definitely can understand where you're coming from, and that wouldn't be annoying. Yeah.
So, did you moved from France to Scotland because family, like because of work? Your parents had to work some.
No, from France to Scotland, I was by myself, and it was to start my university.
Okay, so you moved there, did some studies. How was your first impact in there as the young age to move somewhere else without your family?
I mean, I was 18, so I was kind of already, I was so ready to leave my family. And I was so ready to move away from France because when you finish school in France, school is very difficult, like long hours, 8 to 6. It's like very different from the British system.
Yeah.
And when you finish school, you're expected to go to uni and still work really hard. Like studying in France has a different path than in the UK. And my mom had said, oh, if you go to the UK, like your first year is like super fun and like you're super independent, you meet loads of people, you party and all this stuff. I was so excited to experience that. So I didn't feel like upset really to leave home.
Okay.
And I was excited also to go to Scotland and kind of experience that side of me, the Scottish side, which I hadn't really known about, only during holidays and stuff like that,
That's
and through
interesting.
family, but not as like someone who lives there. So yeah, no, I was definitely excited, and yeah.
Did you felt a connection when you get there, and because you're half Scottish, and that's half of your, like, that's where your country, half of your country is, and did you felt any connection, how was that process?
I think I was still seen as like an external person. So it was hard for me to connect with being Scottish. I mean, throughout the 4 years, I like started to feel more and more. And now when I talk to my brother, who's got the same background as me, but he didn't go to Scotland to study, he went to England. And I feel like now as adults, I can see that I have a much stronger connection to Scotland than he does. And like it's also a nice connection that I can share with my mom, whereas my brother obviously shares a connection because they're mother son, but there's the Scottish part they don't have and they can't talk about and share and stuff like that. So like, yeah, it's definitely brought me closer to my mother, for example, and other parts of my life.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so after university, did you leave straight away, and did you try to have other experience somewhere else? Because for example, when I finished school, the same of you in Italy, it's the same. When you finish, it's pretty like hard, the school that you have to do before you're 18, then you can leave. It was a choice. I was really happy to leave, even if I'm super attached to my family, but the fact for me to explore places and meet people outside, it was super exciting. The idea, it was super scary, because I still remember the first time that I had to cook myself, and I literally, I was like, oh right, I had never cooked in my life, and I was 19, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. So I still remember the impact that I felt that day, and yeah, and I was really happy to leave. when you finish university, which is it's your first experience, but it's still kind of like a protect experience, because university, school, you meet
Yeah.
people there, you kind of like
Yeah.
create a community straight away.
Yeah.
After that, how was your journey? Like, what did you decide
Yeah.
to do?
I mean, I studied for 2 years in London for my master's, and then I got a job straight away.
Okay.
So I'd already had that social circle in London. I already had my friends, and I already knew the city. So it wasn't as scary. But when I definitely felt the change when I moved to Berlin, to a city where I don't, and I moved there for work as well, but a city where I don't have many friends, where I don't speak the language. I've been there but never lived there before. Like, I have no connection to it, because in the UK, like, it still felt a little bit like I had a connection, so it wasn't super scary, whereas now it's like completely different. So like Khan and I were talking about how, like, we came back to Scotland for Christmas time, and I went back to France for like earlier this year. And we were both saying, like, it's so nice to be in a country where people around you speak your language, and you take that for granted, but
Yeah.
it just like makes it cozy and warm and like just easy. Like, you kind of forget that you don't speak the language you're in. Like, I don't speak German here, I kind of forget, and I forget the importance of, people around you speaking the same language as you.
Yeah.
And like another other difficult part was in the UK, like, even if I never lived there before, I could also rely on my mom to help me with admin stuff, and again, speaking English and all. Like, in Germany, it was really difficult and stressful at the beginning, because we have no idea how the system works here to find a flat, to pay your taxes, all the registrations you have to do, doctor stuff, all these things. Like, it was a huge learning curve, and there was no one we could really rely on. I mean, we could ask friends, but a lot of their friends here are also
Yeah.
non-Germans, so
So
they
they
also
never,
have to
yeah,
go through the
yeah,
experience.
it's
Yeah,
it's always, oh, you ask the same thing to different people and then different answers. And you're like,
yeah,
which one is the right one?
yeah.
So yeah,
So that it was a different experience moving here. And both of us are new, so yeah, we couldn't help each other basically, in a way.
I see. So you said you moved to Berlin because job. So was to have a better position. It was a better thing for you to do.
So, to be totally honest, it was not 100% for the job. I mean, I'm with a Turkish person who can't have a visa to live and work in places as easily as I can. So we wanted to move together, and we wanted to live together, and so he tried to find a job in London to kind of join me there. And he couldn't really get anything. And also, we weren't 100% set on the fact that we wanted to stay in London. So then we started thinking about other places. We wanted to move somewhere in Europe mostly, and my company in London happened to have an office in Berlin. So we were like, it would be an easy transition for me. Let's see if you can make it work. And so he started looking for jobs, and he got one quite quickly, who would sponsor him and sponsor his visa. So it happened quite perfect, because I could get a job easy. I mean, I could just transfer easily, and he got the job there. And it's a country where we had a couple of friends already, and we can live and work in English, which was important for us. So yeah, it just kind of happened naturally in the end. Yeah.
You kind of welcomed the opportunity to do this, so it wasn't just
I didn't want to stay in London. I was happy to move elsewhere, and I've never been scared of moving or changing countries, because I'm in a privileged position where I have the choice to be able to do that. I can choose to live and work in different places. And I think I grew up in a way of taking that as an opportunity and as something positive. So I was ready to move. Like I wanted to leave the UK. So it was like
the moving wasn't really
definitely,
scary for you because I imagine because you had already the experience of like from France to Scottish to England, like it wasn't a
yeah,
new thing for you. So you were like, okay, let's do it one more time. It's fine.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
is
And I would do it again.
rare in a European setting because especially France, I think it's pretty similar to Italy. Is we don't have that in our like way of thinking. Like we don't, okay, this my hometown is not working for me. I'm gonna leave. That's
Yeah,
not a normal thing to think for
yeah,
European to do. And your case is different because you were moving already a young age, so you were like, okay, it was easier for you to welcome. But I remember the talk that I had to have with my parents when I was like, Mom, Dad, like I want to leave, and they were like, wait, what? Where are you going? Like it's really strange for my for especially like from south of Italy. um
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's really like a closed mind kind of way of thinking. And my parents' friends still asking, what is he doing? Like where is he now? Like why why is he not back? They throw it might be just an experience that I wanted to do. But yeah, it's been 10 years now.
yeah.
I ain't coming back.
Still not back. No, that's
uh,
really interesting. That's definitely like a different experience that I've had. But like my parents have always moved
mm,
places. We lived in the countryside, but we didn't have this village feeling where we knew all our neighbors and like, we went to the
yeah,
same bakery every day and saw the same people. Like we never grew up in that environment. We were always in bigger cities and going to school to bigger cities. And I think being in a bilingual school as well, like caters to meeting international people and like seeing different ways of living and views of the world. So yeah, it's interesting that we have a very like different
yeah,
experience, even though we come from countries who are literally next to each other.
yeah, it's true. Well, what's your um so it seems like it was a really kind of difficult, the Berlin first period of being in Berlin. um what's the most proudest thing that you can think of, that that you're like, okay, like I did it and it was because of me and because of Khan, because you work together to make it work? And what is the thing that makes you proud of being like to achieve that you achieved?
um it sounds so like it's so practical and it's not like a very romanticized answer, but definitely finding a flat.
In Berlin is crazy, yeah.
It was so hard. And the thing that you have to register in an address and then get your credit score, and like this whole process was so unfamiliar to me. And yeah, it was stressful, but I'm so happy and proud that we've got one and not having to do that ever again. I'm quite proud of that because we did it quite quickly. We know people who took months to find a flat here. We got a good flat, and
You're happy
I'm
with
quite
it?
proud
Yeah,
happy
it's
with that.
I remember when we had to do it, because when we moved from the UK to here, we had like a flat from the UK. We rented for like 6 months, and then after that we had to leave, and it was 4 or 5 months every morning looking for something.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
every single morning you wake up and you look for it, and
It's
it's one of those things that takes a team to make it work. Like
yeah,
if you're with
100%.
somebody to support you,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
100%.
stressful, so
Yeah,
stressful.
100%. Yeah, I think I sent about 100 applications and got 10 back, and 5 of them were scams. Like it was so bad
Yeah,
that
that
we
happens
got
a lot.
there.
That happens a lot. Did you ever felt, can you think at any times that you felt unwelcome here in Berlin, in Germany, or even before? But it's really interesting, the Berlin aspect, the your experience. Did you ever can you think of any like if somebody said something to you, or looks, or I don't know, even to have this kind of this relationship that you have with Can, it can be looked at, weird, because I experience this
Be with someone
all every
else.
month, like, but
Yeah. I can, I like, to be honest, we haven't had like, I mean, as personally, the most unwelcome I felt is a lot in hospitality, because in the UK, people are like nearly too nice when you're in a restaurant or a cafe, or you want to buy something. Like they really want to help you, and they really treat you with respect and talk to you. Like first question that people ask is, how are you doing today? Like it's very like conversational. In Germany, I've had a few times where like people have been rude to me as a customer. I find that really strange. And yeah, like and I was getting a glass of wine, and she was like, you kind of give up and you're like, okay, whatever, I'm not gonna like fight or anything, I'll just pay and leave. And I had to ask I told the story to one of my German friends, and she was shocked. So she actually went there and started talking to the person, be like, what the heck, blah, blah, blah. So definitely in customer service, I felt quite
so like
unwelcome
the
sometimes.
cultural aspect of, like, so because as an Italian, that's the way you that for me this is normal. Like in Italy, you don't have the English experience at all. Like this, in Italy, you have the German experience. It's like, what do you want? Do you want food? Okay, I will give you food. That's it. Like there is no friendly conversation. It's really rare to find that.
That's similar to France, but like in France, I always get shocked when I go and people are so rude, like customer service. But yeah, I was kind of more, the only place I felt it's quite nice is when Connor and I go to a Turkish place, and then they start speaking Turkish, and then it's like there's always a conversation that comes with it.
They have, I'm kind of like really exploring that, like the Turkish immersion like experience here in Berlin, because obviously there is a massive community of Turkish people, and one of my best friend I made here in Berlin, it's Turkish, and he brought me to these places in Kreuzberg or whatever, and the food is great, and the people are so nice and funny. It's welcoming community. It's really nice, for sure.
Yeah, so that's probably the only place actually that I felt that family feeling. But like being with Khan, I don't think we've had any like bad experience as like a couple that comes from 2 different backgrounds. He will have a different experience than me, obviously, moving here. But also we surround ourselves with international people. Like we have very little German friends. Like
it's one of those it's one of those things. Every like as an immigrant, you always find like your first group of friends, it's always people that know from the country, because you try to relate to anyone that can. Exactly. It's interesting.
But I think as well we kind of choose to be with those people. Like I think we might find it difficult to make German only friends, because you can tell there's some differences. And I think we choose as well to stay around people who are from different cultures and countries and who can understand our experience. So
I see. I completely understand. It's you just relate quicker to people that can have your background, similar background than yours. I'm glad that you didn't have any unfortunate experience with that aspect of having that kind of relationship, because you find a situation that's you just get so upset because for stupid things.
Well, to be honest, I think sometimes but I think it maybe they don't express it necessarily, but
it's a passive
I feel
aggressive.
it a little bit when people ask me, no, they don't ask me, but something comes up and I say, oh, my partner is Turkish. Like I can feel a little bit of like, oh, I see German like the first thing that comes to mind is he's from Berlin, but he's Turkish kind of thing, and dating a German Turk, and that's why she's in Berlin. And we're like, no, Khan's got no any like relationship with Germany. But I think there's like an assumption, a very quick assumption, and then like not that it's bad or anything, but that's kind of the assumption that people have when I say I'm with a Turkish in Berlin.
So I don't want to take too long of your time, but I have just a couple of more questions. It's more on like a reflection of where you are as a person with this experience of being an immigrant. Do you think that what you're doing it's a good thing for your life, moving and going? Because it's really funny to think about this, because we don't really need to do this. Like, I didn't need to leave Italy. You didn't need to leave France or Scotland or to come here to Berlin and experience all these new things. Like, how do you think was a good thing for you to do it? And if so, do you think that all this experience of living outside by yourself, did it make you a better person, a stronger person, and a more how do you think that was your experience?
I definitely think it was a good experience. I would also do it again. I don't, it's funny because as you get older, you want to go back to where you're from. Like now, like I think that like part of me, I think it's our generation as well. We're given so much choice and opportunities and like capacity to move and to go other places. Also, I think as a white person who speaks English, like it's just easy for me to be anywhere, to be honest. So there, part of me is like, I have so much choice and I have to take it, and I have so much opportunity. I have to make the most of it. But I think that like I've noticed throughout the years, even though it's fun and it's exciting, and you still, because you don't feel fully part of where you're living, you still have like your comfort zone, which is at home, that you miss and you want to go back to. And I notice it every time I go to see my family. I'm like, oh, this is so nice. Like, I kind of want to stay here. But then I'm like, no, I'm still happy that I can be abroad and stuff like that. But I think as you get older, you want to go back to the familiar. You don't really want to move as much. And it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of money as well. And you kind of want to go back to where you're from, I think, as well. Because I think we'll be having kids at some point. We'd be happy to not be too far from our parents. But I would definitely want to expose my kids to different cultures, and like also, like I think me traveling has had a positive impact on who I am, and I would want them to experience that too. I think it's given me an open mind to things, and also discover other ways of doing, which maybe you don't get exposed to if you're in the same routine and around the same people and in the same places. It's definitely, I've seen like other ways of approaching problems, and cooking and food and relationships people will have with other people around you. Like, I think being with Khan, like the relationships that they have as families and what family means within their culture is very different to what I have in my culture. And so seeing that way of doing has yeah, I kind of want that as well for my own family, which I probably would not have known if I wasn't dating someone from another culture. So yeah, that like I'm happy I moved, and I'm happy I'm given the choice and the opportunity to. I would still do it again, but yeah, there's still that feeling of wanting to go back where you're from.
Yeah, I understand. I think it's not the same for me. I really don't think that I will ever go back to where I'm from. It's more because I never really felt, I never give that much of thought when I was younger and when I was living there. But I never really felt was my place. I never felt connected to the mentality they have. It was always a struggle for me to understand people, the way they were thinking and why they were thinking like that. So I don't know if I will ever come back there. And really reflecting on how I grew up and what I was paying attention to, it sounds so silly and so like stupid now saying stuff like this, but when I was a kid, I was collecting African masks, and I was always interested in the tribes, African tribes. I was watching documentary from animals to like the people and how they were living in Africa, South Africa, and obviously in different parts of the continent. But now I have an African girl. Like, it sounds so stupid, silly to say stuff like that, but it feels like it was really meant to be for me to, because my interesting was never in that close circles. It was always outside and looking out of where I was from. And yeah, it's really weird even to connect for me with Italians, because lots of Italians, they have this connection with their country, which it's understandable. It's an amazing country to go for holidays. I don't know for living, but it's the amazing food, and the people are nice and friendly. Everybody's open. I really don't think like that. That's no. I never really. I really just saw people fighting for defending in Italian food. Like, I would never get to that point. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, your food is better than Italian food. I don't care that much. Like, there is that level of connection with their country, which I never had. Which I don't know if, I don't know if it's a sad thing or it's a good thing, but it whole kind of makes sense now where I'm at this point. And to be honest, what I'm doing right now with like my job and the fact that I'm a professional artist that works in a gallery, it will never happen in Italy, which is so sad, because art, it's where, like, Italy, it's based on artistic things, and that's where I was supposed to do these things, but I know I cannot, because I will not get paid properly. It will be all drama of so it's a different way of thinking.
I think Khan will have maybe more of a similar feeling to you on that. And I think from his perspective, it'll be super interesting as well, because he'll talk about Turkish people in Berlin versus Turkish people in Turkey, and then different Turkish people within Turkey he connects or not with. And I mean, he's told me a few times he's had some Turkish girlfriends before, and like I think the relationships between men and women in Turkey are different to like the relationship we have together. So yeah, it'll be interesting to hear his perspective as well.
Yeah, it's to be honest, one of the now bringing like relationship into it, going back with Amenia, it would be really tough for her and for me having that normal relationship, because it's not that open. Maybe it's different now, because I really haven't been in my hometown in years, because of a choice, a little bit because I don't really have that many friends. They're still there. Don't have I don't have a big. I have a big family, but I'm not connected to it. So my family is really like my home, like my family plus my auntie. That's what I consider my family. And those people, because me and my brothers are outside. We are not in Italy. All of us. It's 3 brothers. We are both. They are in the UK now. I'm in Berlin. My parents, they always come and see us. It's not for them to have a holiday, be away from the places, the hometown, but I don't go back. And going back with Amenia, an African girl, it will be really, really tough. I had some bad experience when I went back there with her and tried to show her where I'm from, and unfortunately, I did show her where I'm from.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. It's a lot of ignorance. It's not. It's more like because they don't really have. I don't think they have any problem with her. Exactly. It's more because she's with me, and it's weird. It's really strange to see that where I'm from. The relationship of different people being together. It's really, 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 really strange to see that. So people, I was shocked. And north of Italy, it's different. There is more multicultural, and they're closer to other countries. So but south of Italy, it's tough. Yeah, can be tough. But anyway, it's I'm glad that you were part of this project, and you wanted to share your story. It's super interesting, super nice, and I'm really happy to people to see the immigrants experience different culture and appreciate the fact that now we are here and we are doing our things and we like it and we want to be here. So I hope
I mean, it's interesting because when you asked me if I wanted to be part of the project, I was like, yeah, sure, but I feel like my story wouldn't be very interesting compared to other people who, I mean, I'm still moving within Europe. So in my head, I was like, oh, but hearing your experience versus my experience and seeing that we're from countries that are next to each other, but we have very different experiences as immigrants to new countries. Like now it's kind of put a different perspective, and it was nice to reflect on the whole thing.
We don't really realize that what we are doing, it's really hard, and we don't really have to, as I said before, we don't really have to do this. Like the fact that we're doing it's because we choose to do it and we want to do it and we are happy to do it. And I feel like most of the people that leave their country and they're living somewhere else, they respect the country where they're living more than the actual people that they are from their country. It's really interesting to share this, because I really want to, that's my main point with this project. It's destigmatize the fact that immigration it's seen in a different way from what actually is. It's just people that want to live their life and they want a better life, and they move somewhere else, and they are happy to do so, and they respect the country, they respect the culture, and
and I could talk about it for ages. It's nice to I don't think we talk about things like that enough as international people in another country. So yeah, it's definitely a nice idea. So thanks for having me.
No, that's fantastic. Really thanks to you that you were happy to share your story.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you again, Lucy.
Yeah, no worries. You're done, right? No questions.
No, we're done.
Okay, good. Cool. I'll open the next link then for Con. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.